All right, this is our next episode of True Wrestling Fans Discussions. This is going to be a complete change of pace. We're going to be reviewing a movie, but not just any movie. It's No Holds Barred, starring Hulk Hogan. Rip 'em. I'm your host, Mike.
And I'm Frank. Walk us through it, my man.
All right. Well, Vince McMahon had been wanting to do a movie for a while, apparently. Vince always pictured himself being in the entertainment business and the movie business. So eventually, I think around 88, I think he comes up with the idea to do this movie No Holds Barred. And Hogan always wanted to be a movie star too. He had a little bit of experience, obviously, being in Rocky 3. He had some done some episodes of the A Team. So
Yeah.
he had some acting chops. Obviously Hogan was on fire at that point. This is 89. He's on top of the world, biggest wrestler on the planet. He's a household name. He crossed over. We saw him on all these different talk shows. And so, they decided to go ahead and do this movie. Supposedly, Vince and Hogan wrote this movie. I don't know how true that story is. They
Yeah,
came up with
I
this.
saw their name on. Well, as far
Yeah,
as a producer or director,
yeah.
I saw
Well,
their names on it.
producer. I think they might have come up with the story, like the outline,
Yeah.
which probably explains why this movie's so bad. But
Well, when you were 10 years old, it wasn't.
no, it wasn't. No, and even watching it now, I have fun watching this, man. Doing this review, like getting ready for this review, I should say. It's nostalgic. Is it corny? Yeah. Is it campy? Of course. It's the 80s. It's Hogan. It's WWE films, but this is before it was WWE films.
Yeah.
This is actually a Shane production. That was the name of the production company, was Shane Productions or Shane Production Company, something like that. Obviously named after Shane McMahon before WWE films. And this movie bombed so bad that we didn't see another WWE produced
Yeah.
movie for years to like the 2000s.
Well,
And I got
they got my money that weekend.
well, yeah. I got a running joke like whenever I saw that whenever I'm watching a movie and they have the previews and you see WWE films before the trailer, it's
Yeah.
going to be a bad movie. This
So
movie
wrong.
this movie was actually filmed in Atlanta,
Yeah.
Georgia. Back then, and even so now, Atlanta gives some pretty good tax breaks for movie productions. But it's kind of ironic when you think about it though, because that's WCW country.
Yeah.
So they filmed it in Atlanta. They gave Tiny Lister about 3 months to train for the movie. Apparently he weighed about 285 pounds. By the time they started filming, he weighed 305 pounds. I don't know if that was all natural, or
I don't I don't know, man.
he might have been using some supplements.
That's a
But
big boy.
when he went into audition for the movie, apparently he put a bunch of baby oil on himself, and he wore platform shoes. So he was even taller than Hogan. He was a big dude to begin with. He was about six
Yeah,
five, I
he
think.
was.
And he goes into the audition, and Hogan and Vince were there, and then they said, well, I think Vince looked at Hogan and told him like, well, there's Zeus right away. So the guy knew what he was doing. The plan was always for Zeus to come into WWE, so they basically used the movie to create a new monster heel for Hogan to go up against, which is why he shows up later. So the plan was always to use the movie to try to make a movie, but also to create a monster heel. And I mean, that's kind of interesting. Something like that had never been done. They actually created a heel on screen
Yeah.
to bring in to the WWE a year later. Yeah, so that's why Hogan takes off. That's why Hogan actually dropped the belt to Andre the Giant, and that's why Macho
Mhm.
Man got the belt, because Hogan was already going to film, or they had already decided to go film No Holds Barred. So that's why that whole thing happened. If anybody's ever wondering, like, oh, were they gonna run with Randy? They never really were gonna run with Randy.
And that's
They
a shame.
just they just needed to take the belt off of him for a little while till he came back, and the plan was always,
That's like finding out there's no Santa Claus when you realize that because you really thought they had faith in him, but it was only because of a movie, unfortunately.
yeah, pretty much.
Ridiculous.
An interesting thing too about the belt, they used the winged eagle belt in this movie with the white
Hmm.
strap.
Yeah, I
But
like that.
but if you actually look at the posters of Rip that they have, and it's kind of hard to see, he's got the white strap, but he's actually wearing the Andre the Giant belt that was made. And I think they only used the Andre the Giant belt one or two times, I believe, right before the main event. They had that belt custom made for Andre the Giant, and it looked different. It didn't look like the winged eagle belt. And Hogan actually in the main event when he rematches Andre, when he cuts the promo in the back, if you actually pay attention, he's got that different belt on. But by the time he goes to the ring, he's got the Winged Eagle belt.
Nice.
So a little, trivia for you there.
I liked when he wore the white the strap in the movie.
Yeah.
I actually liked that. I thought it was also cool that he had changed his colors too in the movie.
Yeah,
Had the white and then the blue. It was kind of nice.
No, it was interesting. And Hogan had worn blue before, like earlier in his career. And the white strap they bring back with the Warrior. The Warrior eventually, I believe, has the white strap at some point, right?
Yeah, he had all sorts of white,
Yeah,
he had purple.
Yeah.
Yeah, the blue. Actually, I like when they change it up like that, and it's not just the common black
the regular
background. Yeah,
I always like that. Joey Morella is actually in this movie as a referee.
Yes.
Howard Finkel shows up. Jesse Ventura shows up.
Mean Gene.
Bill Eadie.
Yes, I caught that. I forgot about that. I went back and checked it. Yeah. And then, what's his name?
Which is Axe.
Stan Hansen.
For those that don't know, Axe is Bill Eadie. And he faces off against Rip in the opening match.
Was it Jake Bullock?
Jake Bullock, I think. Yeah, that was his name.
Yeah.
And funny little side story is that he told his parents they were going to be in the movie. They didn't recognize him without the face paint for whatever reason, which is kind of weird. I guess
I almost didn't recognize him. I rewound it a little bit and watched it.
But it's his parents, though. You think they would recognize him without the face paint. But I guess because they put that wig on him, too.
Yeah, I noticed they did that.
So his parents called him and told him, "Oh yeah, we watched it twice because the first time we didn't realize it was you. So we saw you in the credits, so we just stayed for the second showing and watched you again." And
I
wonder
why the movie made so much money.
Yeah, so Bill Eadie, Axe had a cameo there.
Yeah, he had his movie career started.
Yeah, so Stan Hansen, like you said, Stan Hansen showed up in that bar.
He was funny in that. I like that scene, especially when he was like, "Yeah, keep the change." He beats up that guy before he even finishes his sentence. He's sitting there already whooping his ass.
Yeah.
I like that scene.
Yeah, Stan Hansen apparently had been good friends with Hogan. That's how he got himself.
Oh yeah,
because
they went over and did a Japan tour together.
Yeah, but he wasn't really around the WWE or very brief stint of what he was. But Hogan hooked him up. That was nice of him.
Yeah.
So the movie tanks, because it wasn't the greatest movie in the world. It also didn't make sense that they put it up against Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I don't know who was making that schedule.
That's ridiculous.
I don't know who was making up that schedule, but that was not a smart move to put it up against that movie. All right, so the movie stars Hulk Hogan as Rip Thomas, Joanne Severance as Samantha. If you don't know Joanne Severance, she was in a lot of softcore films, I think, like in the 90s. But this is before that. She was kind of like a legitimate actress at this point, right? She had been in a couple movies. I think she was in one of Lethal Weapon movies. I think she had done some. But for anybody in the 90s that was watching Skinamax, they know who Joanne Severance is. I know I'm dating myself, but yeah. So from that fame,
I remember. I recognized her. I mean, we were, as kids, we were all watching that Hot Box. Come on.
Kurt Fuller played Tom Brell. Was that the character's name?
Brell? And he always plays a good heel character. Always great. Yeah.
And I remember him in Ghostbusters Part 2. Remember?
Yes, the mayor's assistant. He locks them up.
Yep. He was a great character.
I still hate him for that.
He's a great character. Mark Pellegrino played Randy Thomas.
And for people that don't know who that is, that's who plays Lucifer in Supernatural.
Mm-hmm. This is when he was super young, man.
Yeah, young Lucifer.
Yeah.
That explains a lot of Hogan's success, bro. Lucifer's his younger brother.
Bill Henderson played Charlie. That was like his training. He was like the poor man's Duke, from the Rocky series. For those that have seen the Rocky movies. All right, so now for the actual movie itself, and we'll go over it. So the movie starts off with Hogan wrestling, Rip. Rip is wrestling, Bullet,
or Axe.
Yeah, exactly. He beats him, obviously, but he's the WWF champion, which is interesting. They actually used the WWF, but then Hogan wasn't playing Hogan; he was playing Rip, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I was like, if you're gonna bring the company in, they might as well, why not just use his name? And
why not just use Hulk Hogan? But I guess they were kind of trying to keep kayfabe, so they were like, well, if he's Hulk Hogan, then we're gonna admit that wrestling could be fake. So let's just make him a different. I don't know.
There was a whole lot of things in this movie that didn't make sense that I'll get into as we get closer to it. For one of the things is he's trying to get him on his network. Meanwhile, he's under contract with WWE or WWF, and you obviously can't talk to somebody under contract from
Yeah.
somewhere else, otherwise you're gonna, lawsuit. There's a whole lot of things in here
Yeah, yeah, no,
that
I mean,
were a
it's
little
just, I
ridiculous.
mean,
But
as a kid, you don't really know that, but I get what you're saying because I was like, why would you even show up to that meeting if you're under contract?
exactly,
Why would you even entertain it? But yeah, so getting to that, he does go to the meeting, and it was what was it, the
World Television Network.
World Television Network. They didn't even have a wrestling like company. They were
No,
just doing,
exactly.
but he wanted to
They
sign
wanted
him
yeah, they wanted him on the
on the
network, no matter
network,
how much it cost them.
right?
I swear, at one point, I swear these guys were acting. It was literally almost like a Vince McMahon with a Briscoe and Patterson at his side.
Yeah, with the Stooges. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Although this guy, what's his name again? The villain of the movie, whatever his name is.
Brill.
Yeah, bro. He kind of reminded me of former governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo. But I digress. So,
oh, you mean that bum on the unemployment line?
Yeah. So it's funny. They're talking about how Rip is loyal and that it doesn't matter what amount of money they offer. And I'm like, yeah, if this was real life, that's nothing close to Hulk Hogan. No. He'd be like,
where do I sign, brother?
Exactly. Where do I sign? Exactly. Then they like kidnap him, right? Doesn't he? Like he tries to leave,
yes.
And he's like kind of blocking him, and I'm like, why doesn't he just smash this guy, right?
First he puts his hand on like 3 times.
Yeah,
like, all right, that's too many.
Did you notice when he took the check and he put it in his mouth like the $1 Million Man?
Yeah.
So then he goes in the limo. I'm like, if you just had that bad experience, why would you get in the limo? But I know it's a movie, so he gets in their limo. Then they try to kidnap him, and then like he jumps out like Rey Mysterio Jr. Like he just jumps out, and then
like he can go through a roof on a limo like that.
Yeah. No, listen, man, it's the '80s.
I know it's the movie.
A suspension of disbelief.
If we try to make sense of this, we'll be here all night.
No, yeah, exactly. But then he beats them up, and then this part. Whenever I think of this movie, I think of the same part.
I think I know where you're going because
when he picks the guy up, and he's like, "What's that smell?" And he's like, Dookie.
That's probably one of my favorite lines in the movie.
It's hilarious, bro.
Of a movie that's retarded in its own, but I like that scene. It's funny.
That's a hilarious line. It gets me every time. I know it's silly, and I know. I just
love the fact also he's over here growling and stuff. I'm like, dude, really?
Hogan's overacting. He's
overselling it.
Yeah, I think Vince probably wrote that in because Vince has that toilet humor.
Yeah,
I think he probably wrote in the Dookie line.
It was funny. I liked it. I thought it was hysterical.
Yeah. Yeah. Then Brell ends up going to that bar, right, with his cronies with Briscoe and Patterson, and they go to that bar. And I felt like I was watching like what is it, GCW with Nick Gage?
Yes, I thought the same thing.
Yeah, like it's some like low class like
an extreme roadhouse.
Yeah. They're in there and they're watching the wrestling, and then
I love the little guy in the cage throwing peanuts.
Yeah,
he's hysterical.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. And then they watch the match, and this guy he loves it. He's like, "Oh, I love this place," or the wrestling Brell,
or the fight, or the UFC fight that there's watching.
I don't know, and I guess that's where he comes up with the idea with the tough.
Yeah, you couldn't come up with a better name than Battle of the Tough Guys.
Battle of the Tough Guys. Yeah, that's
come on. This guy he's not very creative here.
Yeah, not really. Then they end up Hogan. No, I'm sorry, Hogan. I keep saying Hogan. Rip. He has like a meeting, I guess, with his agents or something, and then like Joanne Severance is hired. Sam, right? Yeah. And she comes in as some sort of, I guess, advisor or agent. I don't know. Whatever.
Public relations. It looked.
Yeah, like. Whatever it was. So she comes in, and all of a sudden, like he's just gawking at her. Like this stuff like that would not fly. Like in today's.
Honestly, I don't think even back then that would have flew.
Yeah, like
I mean, again, movie.
I mean, yeah, she's a nice looking lady though. So, all right, yeah. So then they have that tough guy contest, whatever, and Zeus ends up winning the whole thing, and this guy's enamored with him. Bro's enamored with him. Like this is the guy. So they're already setting up the match of all matches.
Yeah.
So now this guy, Rip wants to take out Samantha. They go out on like a date, and he takes like to this fancy restaurant. I guess it was her idea to go to that restaurant. I don't remember, but
yeah.
And the new waiter doesn't realize something. We'll get to that in a second, and he thinks that Rip is like a barbarian. She probably does to a degree too. And
yeah, she made a few comments that kind of portrayed him that way.
Yeah, do you know who that waiter also plays? Do you remember where he's from? If you don't,
he did look familiar though.
Yeah, he was in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. He played Napoleon Bonaparte.
Yes. Yeah. That's where I reckon because he did look familiar, but
Yeah.
from a movie around that, I couldn't
Hmm.
place it.
Yeah, and he also plays a French guy in this one. But then, I mean, it was kind of a funny scene that the I guess the main chef comes out and Rip is like
Yeah.
he's like a regular there and like he knows all the foods and everything. So it's and she's shocked and well, I thought it was kind of a funny. I mean, it's it's a little silly, but it was kind of cool that Rip wasn't this one dimensional like
Well,
barbarian. Like
that was like a message. Like that's what happens when you assume
yeah, yeah, yeah.
how people,
Hmm.
just because they look that way, that you think they automatically are that way.
Hmm. And then I don't know. Somehow they end up in a hotel. They go to like some
Yeah, they were
hotel.
on the road for a PR
Right, right.
thing.
Oh, that's what it was. That's what it was. Yeah, and then like in the hotel room, and he put, she's being a little like frosty to him, and
Mhm.
he makes like there's only one bed apparently, and he blames her I think because she booked the room.
Yeah.
He puts like a curtain divider, and then like she hears like this squeaking sound or whatever, and then it's kind of a I don't know. I guess this is for kids. This movie that seems a
I
little
don't
like
know. It didn't sound like the push-ups he was doing
yeah,
off the
yeah.
bed. I'll tell you that much.
But and it ends up that he's doing push-ups. She peeks over and he's doing push-ups, and he's like, "Don't mind me" or something like that. And then like she's puts it back, and then something happens where it falls. Right? Something happens where
Yeah, he jumps up in the bed and it breaks.
right, yeah. And then she's like, "Get off me" or whatever. And she goes to slap him too, and he catches her hand, and
Hmm.
he tells her to calm down. You
Yeah, he
know?
says she puts up more walls than he's
Yeah.
ever had her,
Right. And then
and he's right because she comes off that way.
yeah, why does she want to hit him though? Like Jesus Christ, that's a little
It's not like he planned to break the bed to have
right.
you roll over on him. I mean, come on.
Exactly, So he ends up going to sleep in the I guess the lobby. He said there was a couch in the lobby. He goes to sleep.
Yeah.
And then it's like some kind of like bad editing because then it just jumps to her with Brell, and apparently there you find out, but Brell's the one that hired her to like
Yeah.
seduce him to try to get him to work for them or whatever. And it was like it felt like really like weird, right? The reveal, it's kind of like you just cut from that to this.
Yeah, that
And
made no sense how quickly you just jumped to it.
yeah, I was like, what happened? So she
I
was
get like
working.
I guess this scene was over.
Yeah, and and then and then like she's like, no, he's a really nice guy or whatever. And then he hits her and then she falls
Oh
down or
yeah.
whatever. Yeah, and then he's gonna get a beating for that one
Oh yeah.
at some point. So she goes back to him and she confesses that yeah, I was working, but I didn't know. And he's like, oh, it's okay. If it was me, I would have been like,
Get out the door.
now I gotta turn my back on you. That's the end of that.
The Paul Sorvino line.
Yeah,
From
exactly.
Goodfellas.
Exactly.
After I whoop his ass for hitting you,
Yeah,
then I
exactly.
gotta turn my
Yeah,
back
yeah,
on
yeah, yeah. So then Zeus shows up at Hogan. Hogan's doing a charity event for the kids, whatever. He comes like on a helicopter. He makes his grand entrance. I mean, listen, say what you want to say, but like Zeus was like a menacing character on screen. At least he had a
you. Yeah,
presence.
he came in his rainbow helicopter.
Yeah, yeah. He comes, but I mean, the guy was jacked. He looked like a serious guy.
Yeah, just
Staring
hanging
down
around.
Hogan, staring down Hogan and everything. And Hogan, I guess because the kids were there. I mean, he should have just whipped his ass, right? Even the kids were there or not, he should have whipped his ass. I don't understand that because he's beating people up in the ring. So, I can beat people up in the ring, but I can't beat people up in front of these kids.
I think he did the right thing. I don't know. As a parent, believe me, my first instinct would be to knock him on his ass too.
Yeah.
But in front of all the kids, I mean,
Well,
you don't want to do that. I
well,
guess.
prior to that, they had because remember they were watching TV when they were watching the Tough Man contest. His trainer reveals to him, that he used to train him, but I think he hadn't seen him in years, and this guy's
Yeah, 'cause
crazy.
he killed a guy and did some serious
Right,
time.
right. So I guess he didn't want to fight because then they cut to that scene where he's talking to his trainer, like I said, the poor man's version of Tony Duke.
Mhm.
He's talking to him and he's like, "No, you did the right thing," blah blah blah. Then his brother Randy, I don't know for whatever reason, with the other guy, I don't know the other guy Jabroni's name. I don't remember.
Oh, that guy I wanted to smack.
Yeah, he shows up.
He was the reason why for everything.
Yeah, he shows up to that fight. I guess he wanted to go, and Zeus is
Yeah, he
there.
was checking him out, and
Right, and he shows up with the shirt with the Rip 'em shirt. Like that.
yeah,
That's
might as well just have a
right.
shirt that says "I'm his brother."
Right, exactly. Then they find out they're like, no, that's Rip's brother, and then they
The
find
loudmouth is the one that says
right,
it.
right. I think he thought it was gonna save him a beating, but in fact, it just
No, that was going to encourage a beat.
right. He had the opposite effect on him. Then he actually put up a good fight for a little bit.
Yes, he did.
Like he like
2 seconds. Yeah.
Zeus was choking him, then he gets out of it. Then he hits him, he rolls.
I have one issue with that fight. What exactly during that fight, besides choking him out, did he break his back? I mean,
I don't know.
where did he paralyze him temporarily from the neck down? Because I'm looking at this fight and I'm like, okay, so how does he wind up in a wheelchair where he can't move his extremities for a while? What part of this fight? Because all I saw him do was choke him out.
It must have been a deleted scene, I guess. Must have gotten edited.
I mean, Zeus ain't that strong.
I don't know, but
I don't know either. It goes along with this movie, I guess.
Yeah, it's not supposed to make sense. He gets his ass handed to him, and then again, I don't like the editing in this movie is bad because then all of a sudden, Rip is at the I guess the headquarters.
Yeah.
Of what's it called again? The World Television. Yeah. I guess it was that. Maybe that was supposed to be TNT. I don't know. Whatever. So he shows up there and he's breaking things and everything, but they never show like Rip.
Oh yeah, when he was at the gym.
He never
in the gym.
Right, but they never show like how he discovered. Unless I missed it. Did I miss it?
No, they didn't. It just cut to it because I just watched it too, and it's like who told him?
Right. He's going crazy and everything, which I mean the scene is not bad, but I'm just saying continuity wise would make more sense. But
what are the odds that he can throw that bar through the literally?
And then they jump, and then they jump back.
Yeah, they jump back. And I made the comment, I'm like, what are you guys watching this in 3D?
Right, exactly. Like watching Friday the 13th part 3 in 3D.
Exactly.
But did you notice something? His little brother's name is Randy, and I was like,
yeah,
was that a subliminal shot that Hogan
Randy
was taken at Macho Man? Like, you're my little brother.
I hope not.
I don't know.
There's no telling.
Yeah. So then
there's no telling who came up with the character names either. So.
All right. Then they show him. I guess his brother's like, well, he didn't start the rehab yet. No, he's in the hospital, and he's watching over his brother, and Hogan is crying, and I mean, Hogan's not the greatest actor in the world. No. But you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me when Hogan was crying when Elizabeth was at the main event, when Elizabeth was in the back after Hogan accidentally fell on. Was it Hogan that fell on her or Macho Man? Macho Man fell on her by accident, right? And then Hogan carried her to the back, and Hogan was crying. Elizabeth, please.
Yeah, he wasn't crying. He was looking for a date.
Yeah, that's
he had lust in his eyes. Remember that. It wasn't tears in his eyes. It was lust.
So then, like, his brother kind of like moves a little bit, and then he starts crying. And but I forgot that they actually kidnapped Samantha before all of this happens. They kidnap her, or they attempt to kidnap her, and then Rip.
Well, they also threw him into launched him into a tree, and he survived. Meanwhile, in real life, you'd be part of that tree. So again, doesn't make any sense.
Yes, yeah. Then he starts helping his brother through rehab. He's training or whatever. No, this is like this movie is basically kind of a ripoff of Rocky IV and Kickboxer, basically. It's a
more Kickboxer.
More Kickboxer, but the Kickboxer technically came out a couple months after this, so I don't know who ripped who off.
Yeah, but Kickboxer was better.
No, way better. I mean, it's not even close. Better. But yeah, just that story that the brother gets hurt and he has to avenge him, and whatever.
Sounds familiar.
So then he obviously Rip accepts the challenge, and then he goes to fight him. His brother's in the wheelchair now, but he's out of rehab, and they're showing up at the fight. And again, this is like Kickboxer because. Remember, in Kickboxer they kidnapped the brother before the fight, and then they tell him to throw the fight, otherwise your brother's dead.
Yeah,
the same thing happens in this movie, but they try to kidnap his brother and they try to kidnap Samantha, but they successfully kidnap Samantha. But then the trainer and the other jabroni, I don't know his name, they're able to save her while Rip is fighting. But he tells Rip, you got to throw Bro tells Rip. You got to throw the fight
in 10 minutes.
In 10 minutes, and he's getting beat up.
It's funny how she was able to escape out of the room, and nobody is clue. They're all clueless to this,
right?
And then they don't turn around until she's already out the door,
right?
And then what's funny is here's another thing. She's in the elevator. At the start of this, the elevator is zipping down 20, 19, 18, 17. Then all of a sudden, 6, 5. I'm like, when did this thing? What happened here? Run out of gas? Suspense for a cheesy movie.
And why did the WWF let him fight? That's the other question for a rival network.
Well, see, again, a whole lot of things don't make sense because by this point, Vince McMahon would have sued him.
Right. Why didn't Vince have a cameo in this? I guess
It would have been perfect. It would have been nice if he did.
You know why he probably didn't? Because back then, remember, it wasn't known on screen that Vince was the owner.
He was owning it, yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably why.
Well, again, you could have had Jack Tunney.
Yeah, you could have.
He was everybody back then, including myself. When you were a kid, we all thought Tunney was the one in charge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
but Tunney couldn't act for his life because every time he was on camera, he sucked. He couldn't even read the teleprompter correctly.
Yeah. So they have that big brawl, and it's like a fight to the death because Zeus breaks the pole.
Now it reminds me of Best of the Best too.
And he yeah, I know he was gonna kill him though. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He broke it. And he was gonna stab him, and this guy's like, kill him, bro's like, kill him. I'm like, but how are you gonna kill somebody on national TV? Like, you're gonna go to jail.
Seriously.
I know it's a movie, but I'm just saying, like.
No, well, I mean, we're trying to think of this in reality. I know it's we shouldn't. But in a way, we are because it just doesn't make any sense.
Oh, but it gets better. It gets better though.
Oh, I know it does.
Because after they have this whole brawl and everything, right? And then he hulks up once he sees his brother. His brother's like, "Yeah, rip him!" Like he does the kind of a half, like he's starting to get.
He was able to move a little bit more.
He hulks up and then he does I guess the double axe handle was his finisher in this.
Yeah,
I think it was his. Not the atomic leg drop.
No, yeah, he used it against Bill Eadie or Jake, whatever the guy's name was.
The double axe handle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he used it.
So that was his finisher.
Mm-hmm.
So they're fighting, and this guy's like running away, which I didn't understand. I was like, "Why is Zeus running away?" I didn't understand that. Like he was running for his life. I don't know. They start
because the script said
right. They start fighting, and then they're fighting like on that upper level. Hogan double axe handles him. And he falls, and the ring explodes. It was like the Big Show when the Big Show got superplexed. But then I think he killed him. I think he was dead, right?
He never got up.
It looked like he was dead. So like,
it's a little far fetched, but
no, but it looked like he was dead, dude. It looked like
did, but maybe he was just knocked out.
No, I think he killed him. I think he killed him.
Then he killed him on national
and I'm TV. Watching, and I'm like, did Hulk Hogan just? I'm sorry, did Rip just kill this guy?
Rip, yeah.
And then he goes after Bro, right?
Yeah.
And then Bro gets electrocuted and he dies. He had to have been dead.
Oh, he was.
Yeah, he killed two people. Like, I mean, the second one was, it
wasn't his fault.
It wasn't his fault. The guy was walking back.
Well, technically, Zeus wasn't his fault either because he could turn around and he turned around and say he was defending himself here. I mean, he's fighting for his life.
I know, but I'm saying, yeah, it's combat. It's. So
let's do no holds barred too. Hogan in jail.
So I'm like, hold on a second. I'm like, Hogan is responsible, or Rip is responsible for the death. I'm like, this is a kids movie too. Hogan's not supposed to kill people.
Exactly.
I mean, they could always say that. Oh, these guys were knocked out cold, but I'm telling you what. Watching this,
I think he was knocked out cold. I don't know about.
I think
we can make an argument can be made for both. Who knows?
Yeah. So that was the movie.
You can't ask Zeus because
right.
Unfortunately, like was last year, he passed away.
Tiny list, the rest in peace, man.
Yeah, man.
Peace. But that was no holds barred. Okay, listen, the movie's corny, like we said, but I had fun watching this movie, man.
It was better than some of the ridiculous movies that Hogan has done, like Three Ninjas, High Noon, and Mega Mountain, or Mr. Nanny. I mean, come on.
I do think Suburban Commando is his best movie.
I like that one.
I think Suburban Commando was his best movie.
There was another one he did. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'll probably remember when we're done with this recording. But he's done a couple of fairly decent, but he's in no way a comparison to a Rock or John Cena. No way. He's not in their league. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I mean,
Hogan supersedes them in the ring, but outside the ring, they got him beat.
But yeah, so that was
Suicide Squad.
Yeah. So that was no holds barred. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. You guys let us know what you think about the movie and what your memories are watching this as a kid. Like you said, you watched it in the theater, right? You went.
I loved it. I was a
Hulkamaniac
fan at 10 years old. Yeah, I went the day of.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Like I had said in another video, I saw this on cable. My uncle had the hot box. He had the satellite. He had like the illegal satellite.
Yeah.
And I saw it on there. I remember him calling me. He's like, "Oh, the Hulk Hogan movie's on." And I remember running over there to his house.
Yeah.
To go.
I went over to. Remember where the Fort Way was on Fort Hamilton Park?
Yeah, of course.
I went there to see it.
Yeah.
Had a blast, man.
Yeah, as a kid, you love this stuff. I mean, it's a bad movie now, but this is like a guilty pleasure with it, like they say. Like this is one of those movies that don't really hold up, but it's.
I sort of want when I watched it again earlier. I really wanted to have the same reaction I had when I was 10, just to bring me back to my childhood and be that way for just for a little bit. I wanted to really have that, and I just unfortunately couldn't because my adult brain on this is going,
Yeah.
oh, okay, let's break this down and think of this rationally. How the hell is this possible? And I'm like, shut up, I'm watching a movie.
Yeah, but
I really wish I could have been back to that moment though. I just
that's hard.
10 years old, we were loving it.
Yeah. All right, so you guys make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and we'll see you guys soon.
Take care, guys.